pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nobody wants to sit up front? I mean, is it that bad?
You guys are afraid you might get cold.
Let's see, first order of the business is lot line modification application of Gretchen Topping, Corner House, Sagaponic LLC. We need additional information. We're still waiting for that, so I'll make a motion to adjourn it to the April 12th meeting.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is the subdivision application of 351 Bridge Lane LLC. And they need to file some more information, so I'll make a motion to adjourn that to the April 12th meeting.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Site plan application of One Sweet Potato LLC. Let's see, somebody's here for that application?
Mr. Pasca, I just let in. Yes, Tony Pasca, put your video on, Tony, and there he is.
I'm here too.
Oh, sorry, Beth. And Beth is here too.
Okay.
And we have Lord from that department.
Okay.
So we submitted what the board had requested, I believe. I don't know if there's any follow-up questions from the board or anything with what we submitted.
I'm good with it, but I think the consultants, I think the consultants were good with it too, but Rich, did you want to say something, Rich?
No, I mean, they addressed all of the issues that I had raised in my memo. The question of FEMA compliance was answered by Tony Pasca at the last meeting, that the house was going to be raised on helical piles as opposed to timber piles that would have required the relocation of the structure. They provided some detailed drainage plans back for the village engineer because he had a number of questions. They had a letter from TF Engineering along with a report. And the email that I had seen from the village engineer, he found everything acceptable. Landscape details, they provided details where they didn't have them before. There's 18 existing trees that are going to be removed and repositioned on the site. 10 deciduous trees are going to be removed. 4 deciduous trees are proposed along the entry walkway. And then the landscape plan is now showing that area between the swimming pool and the house that is lawn that was originally beach grass is going to be converted back into beach grass. So I think the landscape plan is acceptable. The question about the work within Potato Road, I know that they'd asked, the village attorney had asked for a copy of the deed or title report to demonstrate the rights of the owner to work within the road. I don't know if that was ever submitted. I didn't see anything in my package. And then the erosion sedimentation control plan was reviewed by the village engineer and found acceptable. So assuming that the work with the Potato Road is okay, I think this is ready for approval.
Thank you.
Yep. And just Mr. Mayor, just following up on Mr. Warren's comments, I always thank him for the great work. Yes, he's clear, the village engineer is clear, and I cleared with Mr. Pasca the adequate title to the road, which is very unusual and interesting for the East End, but nonetheless satisfactory. And any work that would need to be done, or any work that would be performed on the road would just be restored to pre-existing pre-construction conditions. That's the only condition we added into the resolution that's before the board today.
Very good, thank you. So I guess we're ready to approve this. We have a resolution in front of us. Do I have to read this whole thing?
No, you can deem it read into the minutes, and I will put it in there if you want to just read the end of it, which is the now therefore. You don't have to read all whereases on the second page.
Now, therefore, upon due deliberation and hearing, be it resolved and found by the planning board that the site plan application is approved as set forth in the Twin Forks Land Surveying Survey, last revised October 6, 2022. The LaGuardia Design Group site plan, last revised May 6th of 2022. The LaGuardia Design Group erosion and sediment control plan dated December 21st of 2022, and TF Engineering PLLC drainage plan dated February 23rd of 2023. This application is granted upon the applicant providing the following documents. You want the rest of that read?
The drainage control. Yeah.
Okay. A, drainage control. The drainage control proposed in the plan prepared by TF Engineering PLLC dated January 9th of 2023 and last revised February 20th of 2023 must be reviewed and confirmed for capacity and compliance by the village engineer prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. And 2, that as a condition of granting this application, the applicant must restore and remediate any adverse impacts or damage resulting from this project to Potato Road to the condition as reasonably existed prior to the commencement of construction. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Now we have a site plan application for Craig Austin, 517 Daniels Lane. Mr. Bennett is here.
Yes, how are you?
Great.
Good
Thank you.
afternoon, nice to see everyone.
Yeah.
I'm for those of you who know me, still know me, I'm Gervais. I'm here on behalf of the doctor, Mrs. Austin. And I reside at 517 Daniels Lane, and we're here with a simple request to modify the site plan. And the site plan modification request is fairly straightforward. We'd like to omit the drainage that was proposed for an existing driveway and omit the drainage that was proposed for an existing tennis court. I will report that 17 dry wells have been installed already for the redevelopment of the property. This just has to deal with a long flag strip that enters the property. There was no changes to the paving surface of it. I have some photographs that I took early in February. If the board might find helpful, I can approach.
Sure.
We miss you. We always like you.
Okay, so
So the driveway's been there for many years.
exactly. So put the drainage, there's no known problem in the driveway's going that way. And it wasn't going to change the part of this redevelopment, and to put the drainage in would cause a lot more disturbance.
Right.
Etc. So that's the first photograph. Second photograph is just looking north on the same driveway. Any runoff that occurs from the driveway actually flows through the Austin's property, and they have wetland dry wells that are in place now. That's the third photograph. It looks like this. These are taken February. And then the last photograph is the existing conditions of the tennis court. And the tennis court has been pre-existing for a long time. I think they're gonna resurface it, but it's not a new tennis court. And we would like to request relief from installing a new drainage or something that has existed for quite some time.
Right.
That's what I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. The current village engineering firm has reviewed this and found your revision of the plan acceptable. Yeah.
Hopefully the board does too.
I don't have an official resolution. Brian, did you want to dictate something?
Yeah, what I would just say is if the, with the approval of the village engineer, that the proposed amendment to the site plan that was originally dated February 12th, 2018, be approved as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You're welcome.
Nice to see
Good
you.
seeing you, Drew.
We've got an agricultural fence application.
Hi everyone, Alex Bolson, Boston Farms. Here,
Hi.
here Ian called Beaumont, my, the other owner of our farm. So we're proposing to put a deer fence around this field on Hedges Lane. This field is a little unique in that it's owned by two separate entities. The Southport Land Foundation owns the 9+ acres closest to Hedges Lane. And Ruby and Stu Yadav own the 5-acre ag reserve behind it. So obviously from the road, it looks like one contiguous field. So it's operated that way and will likely continue to be operated that way. We're gonna fence the whole thing in together. Ruby and Stu are very supportive neighbors of agriculture. As farmers, I can say that I wish we had more neighbors like this. All the farmers would be doing a lot better. They let us farm their land. I like to share they don't charge us rent to do that. They're just really supportive of what the farmers do on their land and this fence.
Who was that?
Ruby and Sue Yadav.
They
Sorry, they live. It's shown on the survey as Wiesenthal. He was a prior owner, but they live at
Okay.
that property.
Oh, they're not on Mansfield,
So
they're on
that's
Mansfield.
this one right there.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So they have the resort behind it, right?
So, what else? I guess, oh, so there are some amendments on that issue we have in front of you since the one I submitted, in large part because obviously the post office sounds like it's gonna go there on the corner. So we marked it as a temporary fence. Obviously, we'll exclude that jog from the fence, but big picture, we would like the approval to put the fence up if and when the post office leaves. We also set back the fence another 10 feet from Fairfield. It doesn't border for that long, but
Oh, wait a
in hindsight, we realized that,
No, over there.
yeah, right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. That in hindsight, we originally had it right on the property line.
That's close.
Actually, this is the old survey. Sorry, never mind. The new one is up on the screen there. But along that same line, we realized in hindsight that we were really close to the roadbed and it was probably best to push it back 10 feet, so.
That's a very tight road anyway.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
probably don't want to be that close.
Right, and obviously we haven't lost much land in the process of doing that.
That's the road.
That was the one that's up on the screen, sorry.
Do we have to give back?
Here's the one we don't have.
The other thing that changes, as a result of obviously when we filed this application a month or two ago, the post office thing had not yet been approved, so there, I didn't address it in the application, figured I would address it here, but now that the post office thing seems to be happening, we formalized it on the survey. What had originally been a 12-foot wide gate along Hedges Lane is now gonna be our 20-foot wide gate. Because obviously, the idea there is a lot of our equipment, pickup trucks, things like that can just get into a 12-foot wide gate. But obviously, we have wide equipment that we have to get through from time to time, so we need at least one 20-foot wide gate. And so we're putting it there, just to the, I guess you'd say the east of that, where the temporary fence is shown to go. I'll address the potential access on that other gate there in a minute. I guess, and as usual, I'll sort of go through the list of requirements and questions and address those for the sake of the record. Is the land used in agricultural production? Of course, it has been. It will continue to be. In terms of demonstrating the economic loss, our farm, Boston Farms, we have firsthand knowledge of the loss there. Shortly after we started farming around 2004, 2007, we farmed sweet corn there in partnership with Dean Foster. One of those things he was helping us get going. He had the land, he had the equipment here in Sagaponic. We did all the work, we sold the product. And obviously, needless to say, we had a lot of damage to our corn even back then. And from a distance, the corn actually might look okay. The problem is the deer like to sample every year. You're talking about something like sweet corn, that's it becomes unmarketable. If the deer were reasonable, they would sit there and eat an ear and maybe go home, and we could live with that.
Bite, though.
But yeah, exactly. Like I said, they like to sample. So more recently, we farmed the land the last couple of years because there's no fence. We've done sort of like alternate crops that we've been getting into, granted, those crops have some benefit to our farm, and things like field corn, popcorn, oats, other small grains. Yeah, they're nice, like I said, we can use them, we use our own cover crop, you know, we mill the field corn. No one's paying the bills doing that stuff, as you can imagine. You can't make money farming out here growing commodities, right? It's all about the vegetables and other high value products, and obviously you need a fence to do those things. But with that said, even on those commodity crops, like for example, our field corn that we grew there at this parcel last year, we harvested 50 bushels to the acre. And we should have gotten 150 to 200 bushels to the acre. The only difference was, the only factor there is the deer. So they're still the real deal here. And then to address some, more of the economic impact, there's obviously this calculation, oh, they ate 100 bushels to the acre. That's direct math, you can figure that out. But there's also there's opportunity costs that are lost. So if we were to plant sweet corn here and we lost sweet corn, we're not going to have it on our stand for whatever time we're harvesting that field. We don't have sweet corn at our stand, no one's coming. They're not going to buy tomatoes, they're not going to buy flour, they're just not coming, they're not going to buy all the other things. So aside from the direct damage of what the deer eat, there's other opportunity costs that are lost there. Not to mention the opportunity cost of just being able to grow vegetables. Like I said, if we can't grow vegetables, we're not doing this. So the alternative fencing. So again, 6-foot fencing, granted, yes, that would alleviate some of the economic loss, but really either need a vegetative planting to go to 6-foot fencing if you want it to be effective, which obviously is not what we're going for on agricultural land. And this, again, while some benefit would be derived from 6-foot fencing around the entire property, ultimately when it comes to vegetables, we would still suffer economic loss that's unacceptable. So the 4-foot fencing might be effective, but again, there you have to combine it with a vegetative planting. We're not looking to screen this field. We're not allowed to screen this field. It's not an attractive option, nor is it as effective. Obviously, there's the East Hampton Airport 4-foot with the 90-degree 4-foot. I know I'm repeating myself, I say this every time, but again, for the sake of the record, I'm sure your attorney will agree, I'll go through these motions, but again, but the maintenance of that is tough, probably very reliant on herbicides to keep the weeds down, or again, vegetative plantings, arguably not as attractive as a straight agricultural standard deer fence. Obviously, electric fencing is proven to be ineffective at this point for deer exclusion. The deer figure out how to jump through it and over it and knock it down. And every which way we've tried electric fencing. That's what we used when we started farming. And you might as well not have any fencing at this point if you're doing electric fencing. And also, visually not appealing. The fencing breaks, it flaps all over the place. It's not a good option. To the extent, some might claim culling or other population control measures are doing the trick. I'd say that the deer pressure is, what we see here is as bad as ever. We farm about 200 acres total. Over 90 acres of that is now in Sagaponack Village. So we're very familiar with the deer pressure in the area, and it's obviously a problem. We're preserving the visual and scenic resources of the village. Obviously, we're going to use the standard black powder coated wire, blends in nicely with the background. In many ways, you don't see or notice it, particularly if you're looking at it straight on. The round wooden posts are not obtrusive, they're spaced far apart. They look a little rustic. It's obviously we keep it free of vegetation. What else? We're confirming that obviously the fence would be removed if the agricultural operation ceased for 2 consecutive years. In terms of setback from the road along Hedges Lane, we're 21 feet back from the road. We're now about 22 feet back from Fairfield Pond. So we've got a nice buffer from the roadbed there. And then, so I guess the last thing I'll talk about is the gate that we have proposed off of Fairfield Pond. So what we did here was, our thought process was, as I said, with a lot of our equipment, smaller equipment, things like that, pickups, we can come in and out. pretty easily and safely. Obviously, we have some bigger equipment, something like our grain drill, which we pull behind a big tractor, then we have a disc harrow, and then the 15-foot grain drills trailing behind that. You need to be able to safely pull off the road somehow. And so we had thought that, our thought was that, you know, we come down to Fairfield, we pull into that area that we exclude, the whole rig is off the road, and we can get in and out, do our gate thing, drive through.
Especially since it's on a corner.
Right. Now, if the board is not keen on either a gate, you know, in that area or on that road, we would be happy to take where our 20-foot wide gate is to the right of the green temporary fence. We'd be happy to do the same indentation there and make a 20-foot gate that's indented, you know, maybe another 30 feet. And that would then be our only big gate. We do have another gate on the south side of the field, but that's simply to access the back side of the field for fence maintenance and things like that, because we're not up against the property line. That's where the other gate is. But again, that's really just a maintenance gate.
Down here?
Alex, just a quick question.
Yeah.
During the time period that the post office would be there, you would not have, how would you be entering?
Just through that 20-foot wide gate. Yeah,
Off
that's to the
edges?
right of the green fence.
Oh,
Off hedges.
off hedges.
No hedges, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
The question is, like I said, you know, as proposed, we would put in another gate off of Fairfield. That would, honestly, I only foresee us using it for the bigger equipment in and out, which is a less frequent occurrence for us. Most of the time, I think the access on hedges would suffice. But again, if you're like, yeah, you know, look, one gate's enough, we're getting in and out of Fairfield's a little wonky, we'd be happy to put it there on, you know, just have the one gate and set it back off the hedges.
Would it save you money to do that? I mean, because all this equipment, I mean, and you putting it up, and no one in SAG would know how long the post office could be holding you up.
Yeah.
I mean, it could get done in a year, or it could be 2 or 3. So would it save your process money to do the indent here to begin with?
It might, especially if, well, so obviously gates and fencing cost more, particularly because of the bracing and the fencing that's right near the gates. So yes, if we were to do one 20-foot wide gate indented, that is going to be cheaper than another gate, you know, than doing it also on Fairfield, and yes.
I know the whole process of fencing it in is really economically taxing the farmers, that's what I was just.
Sure.
I mean, personally, I whatever you're comfortable with, either one way you want to approach it is fine with me. And I'd like to make the point that you said that you could put up, say, 2 4-foot fences and then plant a hedge in between them. And doing that, you would not need a permit for us. You have the right to do that now. But in the process, by us granting you an 8-foot fence, we preserve the view. And a lot of people don't realize, they think that the deer fence is an obstruction, and it is somewhat, but at least we don't end up like a lot of Southampton, where I know many farm fields have been screened with hedges and fencing, and the view is lost. And so, you know, you coming to us and wanting an 8-footer and giving up the right to plant a hedge, I think is a benefit to the public.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with that. You know what, I guess if the board says whatever you want to do with the gates, I mean, I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but I would say, look, if like you said, if we're maybe 2 years out from the post office leaving, it probably makes sense for us to indent the Hedges Lane one, right? Because otherwise we're not going to have any indented access for 2 years, regardless of what we do on Fairfield.
Does it need to be indented? I mean, you have a clear view of what's going on and people slow down for tractors.
You know, I think it would in some instances, in a lot of instances, like certain small equipment stuff, we could pull over on either side of the roadbed on hedges without really impeding traffic, maybe slowing it down a little as they get, but you know, not clutter up the whole road. We get out, we do our gate thing, drive through. With the bigger equipment, like I said, you're just running something 15 feet wide, you're already taking up a lane and a half if you're not
Yeah, okay.
off the road.
Yeah.
I just don't see a unclunky way to do that without an indent.
Right.
How big of an indent would you need? 10 foot, Alex, do you think would do it?
On hedges, I would probably go at least 20. I mean, we're
Okay.
20 feet from the roadbed now, but you know, to have 40 feet with some of this equipment, like, yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
That's prudent.
So if I make that modification, obviously I can turn that, you know, have that noted on the survey pretty quickly. I mean, I think I'd be happy to give up the gate on Fairfield. If we find out we need it, come back and.
Yeah.
see if
We're
we can
always
do it.
open to help.
Yeah, I
Sure.
appreciate it. Thanks.
What's your first crop?
It's probably gonna be sweet corn, but it's gonna be in a rotation. Last year was a great example of why we needed these fences, honestly. We had more sweet corn ground than we ever planted. And we were short on it. And it's just so crazy to sit here and say, we have all this demand for this great quality crop and we can't grow it because frankly, we didn't have the deer fences. We had the land, you know, we're farming the land on Bridge Lane, we're farming the land here. And like, that's just a shame, you know, like we had frankly, not as good of an economic year as we would have liked. And stuff like that's the difference, you know? So these things matter. I mean, they're important, as you know.
Well, it is amazing to me at the end of a weekend at a farm stand, people loading up with all the product around here and taking it back with them too,
Yeah.
before they leave. So it's not just feeding the people living here in the summer, it travels.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll be rotating, you'll see pumpkins and things like that. And I think we're gonna really start, like, I mean, our farm, you know, we grow everything. I mean, like, literally everything you see in the catalog, right? So, and some of that's gonna start expanding to Sagaponic because now we have the fencing to do it.
Do you have any other points you feel you need to cover, or?
I don't think so.
This is specifically for farming, as no, any machines being
Stored.
stored anywhere.
No, just the usual, I mean, you know, the usual, like, oh, we didn't finish the
Leave
job.
it overnight
Yeah,
and
yeah,
come back tomorrow.
No, but it's not, yeah, not gonna.
Okay.
Brian, is there some way we can give them full or partial approval for this so they can line up installation?
Yeah, I think if the board is inclined towards approving it today, I can dictate a very quick resolution if the board is willing to move forward with the approval today.
What do you think? Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, we'd like to approve it today.
Okay, so let me take a crack at this. I'll try to speak slowly, Rhodey, for you when you're doing the minutes.
It's being recorded there, Brian, so.
Oh, okay, 21st century, I like that. All right, resolution to approve the proposed agricultural fence, subject to an updated survey indicating installation of a temporary fence to accommodate the post office temporary location as indicated on the survey, and B, further application and resolution of the board authorizing relocation of the fence to the permanent location after the post office vacates that temporary location. C, the only approved gate will be and approved for installation will be a permanent 20-foot wide gate set back at least 20 feet from Hedges Lane's property line. And the updated survey will only show that gate access, no gate off of Fairfield, and no machinery storage or except when in active use for agricultural purposes.
Brian, there is one more gate. It's not accessed from the road, but it's to maintain the back side of the fence on the southern side, right, Alex?
Correct.
So that'll be, yeah, that's a good point, Rhodey. That'll be F. If you can add that to F as a condition of that southern portion of the property, that southern gate access.
Right.
Is
And
approved.
it doesn't access any road. It's not, I'm correct on this, right,
Correct,
Alex?
yeah.
No equipment is going to go through there. It's really so they can maintain the backside of the southern fence.
Rich, I didn't realize you were still with us. Did you have a comment to make on this? Okay.
If you want to excuse him, though.
Oh, okay.
I'm just enjoying government in action.
Oh. But Rhodey tells me that you're officially excused if you
Okay.
wanted to go.
I always have to wait till I'm excused.
It's all right, Rich, forgot about you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
So we have a
so you have the
resolution.
resolution, now you have to.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All righty. I'll get to the official wording of this.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome, Alan.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Your support of agriculture is greatly appreciated. It really is. Thank you.
Bill, and just for the record, Robbie has been on.
Oh.
He doesn't have his microphone on or his
Video.
video, but he is the other property owner with Foster.
Right, okay.
Just for the record, he was on here. Still here. Is he still here? Say hello. Oh, he's gone now.
That's right.
We have minutes, which I guess we'll approve next meeting
Yep, and I'll have the
on
other
the
seven.
15th. The town police report didn't come in, I guess.
Not
Yeah,
in yet.
okay.
We will have it for you by next week.
Traffic calming. Oh, yeah, we got a letter from Thomas Babcock, who's on Sag Main Street South, near where the Marconi station used to be, and he wants speed bumps so his children don't get run over. We got, oh, Dunkowski's finally,
I didn't see that.
it's in there somewhere.
It's the first one after the plastic. Under old business.
I think the Dunkowski letter got in, it's in the book, okay. They want a speed bump in front of their house.
You wouldn't have seen it online, it came in today.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I didn't send it to you
All
yesterday.
And Barbara Bornstein, I talked to her a while ago and told her we were a paving project, and so she read a letter against it, so. But actually, I think she didn't understand that it would, most of it wasn't gonna do what she objected to. She walks her dog, she used to ride a horse, she hasn't had a horse for years. She's worried about a grass road shoulder. And actually, I don't know if anybody measured Sag Road, any of the roads, but I went out. I like to check up on engineers. And Sag Road actually is really not getting widened from the previous paving. Just south of Wolfer's Vineyard, it measured, and this is existing pavement that hasn't been grown over, 29 feet wide. And I guess the reason it doesn't look that wide is because they have 12-foot traffic lanes. And the rest of the road is around 28-foot wide, believe it or not. I don't know, Masterson was pretty cheap with asphalt, and maybe because of the bridge. Yeah. Anyway. The engineers are out doing, I don't know, marking this and measuring that, so.
Well, they're doing the survey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got stakes all over the place. I don't think the stakes are where the road is going, they're measuring points, as I understood what he said, waypoints or something. And also, I was in North Haven, Tyndall Road intersection with Sunset Beach Road, and they put in a speed bump there. And it's kind of interesting, they put it right at the stop sign on just one side of the road, which if you drive, it's a little tiny thing, but it really, it is, have you been over it?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's really very rough. But it's only on one side of the road, so people would drive around it.
So these are the locations here.
So are these the locations we're gonna
I'd
discuss?
like to know where we're discussing on these pictures.
Yeah,
Having them.
they look pretty much where, when I went out with the engineer, we talked about. On my road, one is going just to the east of my driveway.
Well, the first picture is of what? Of Daniel's maybe?
Is it?
It's hard to read.
Yeah, I didn't, you'll have it in your book.
Yeah, that's Daniel's Lane.
Okay, the first one is
And it's, I'm
Daniel's.
trying to figure,
Where
I
are
think
those?
it's east of your house, Bill.
Yeah, it's
And
just,
I can't remember, it's right just before Dakers maybe, or somewhere.
Mhm.
Is that it?
yep, looks like that's right in
No, wait a
between.
minute. Oh, all
Yes.
right,
So the
That's your
new,
daughter.
the new stop signs are by this
Down
down
here.
here.
Yep.
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
So is that the only location we're doing on Daniel?
Yep, that's it. Just a small down, when you go down that hill, you don't see the stop sign soon enough.
So it's,
Well, the boats, let's see now. Is that
it's
both-
not on the hill though, it's between,
I think it's going downhill.
is it between Dakers and what used to be Dakers? You know how Linda moved over one?
You know,
Bill,
No,
is,
no, Dakers is this one.
It's
Dakers,
between,
That's
Dacre-
Dakers. Right there.
between Cohen and what used to be Dakers.
it's between Cohen and what used to be Dakers, so. it's-
Oh, okay.
Okay, because this is Lauren, this is Bill. It's between, okay, what used to be Dakers, because they moved over.
right,
Okay,
right.
gotcha. It's just kind of green fuzzy,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just trying to.
Well, the stop signs, I feel like were hindered by foliage, or is that in a different
Absolutely.
spot?
There's
Yeah, I
a
was
tree
gonna
on
bring
one
that up.
side, you
Yeah.
can't see it.
Both
so-
of them
Both of
coming
them.
from both
Yeah.
The other
directions,
one's what, phone poles in the way?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
can't see it till you're right up on it. And,
These are the newly installed stop signs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I, because they were installed when I wasn't here,
Yeah.
I noticed them in the
Now,
last
is
day or
that,
so, and
I
I
don't
thought.
know if that tree that's obstructing going east,
we'll cut it down.
if that's on our property, we could just take it out.
Definitely.
or a few limbs, I
Or,
don't
yeah,
know.
or, yeah, we could do the
Tree.
few limbs if you want.
I haven't been down there, so the stop sign on Daniel's Lane. is it,
Yes,
Going
Yes.
east,
Going east, so it would be on the right-hand side.
it's
Yeah.
right on the corner of the last driveway and Daniels.
And there's a
It's
tree.
an old cedar tree, and it's
yeah,
a pretty good sized tree.
It's a pretty decent.
But over the years, I think the people coming in and out of Bass's property have trimmed the bottom up so that there's nothing but a trunk. But we need to go higher or take the tree out, one of the two,
Yeah,
Right.
because it is not visible until you.
No, and by then you're going down the hill, the entrance where Bassett's go in, and if you didn't expect it, you know, because it is a new one. And I know it has the warning sign up, new signage sign.
Right.
The one you put up for a while when you put a new sign
Right.
up. You take those down though, right? Because it says,
They're still
Coming
up on
the
Side
other
Road.
way, they had a sign,
New
I think it
traffic
said,
pattern, I
new
think
stop
so.
sign
or
ahead.
the one that's.
Yeah, there's a sign that says that.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
Yeah,
right, but
Yeah.
my question is, it says new pattern, are they temporary? Because the idea that it's a new sign coming up and then after a year you take them down.
I think eventually they come down.
I think part of the law that Peterson had explained, that you put it up to get people used to it and then
Yeah.
you take them down.
Yeah, then they take it down.
I don't know. He's not on, so we can't.
I think coming from Waynescott, you need that stop sign ahead sign to be there all the time, because you can't move the phone
Yeah, we're
pole.
not gonna move the pole.
Yeah,
And the sign can't go any further out to the road, I don't think.
right, yeah.
So,
Well, this is in a better location than I thought it was. I thought it was like on the steep part of the hill. But last month I was looking on Zoom and that's always hard to see.
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
So this is in the flat part of the road, which is to me where people get their speed up.
yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they don't know about the new traffic
Sign,
signs
because
yet,
they can't see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
which might slow them down anyway.
was there any thought, this is just, I'm brainstorming, to the idea, the other part between Fairfield and Potato
Peters
Lane
Pond.
and Peters Pond? That's such a long stretch where you don't have any stop signs, like this section, I was wondering if the signs might solve our problem, and the section between Fairfield and Potato and Peters Pond is where we should have the bump.
I
Because
think-
it's such a long straight
I know, I
section.
mean, I think I hate the speed bumps, but they work.
Yeah, but that's such a nice long segment. I want to pull
But
those
then again,
suckers
well,
down.
yeah, people do bike out there, but I
Yeah.
think when we just do what we got in the plan now, because as people see them more, either they love them or hate them, and, you know, one step at a time,
Well, I like the one step at a time.
yeah.
And my take on this is I would like to see a moratorium on speed bumps until we've waited a whole year to see how all of the new stop signs, you know, what we find from having the new stop signs. Maybe we don't need all these.
I just feel like the stop signs might work, the ones we just put in. don't they?
Yeah.
But then we have no stop signs between Fairfield and Town Line. That's, to me, where people can really,
Yeah, it's not that many driveways, though. I mean, that's.
we've got a lot of
kinda
flags
neat.
coming
Yeah,
in there.
yeah, but they're pretty open, people can see.
Well, we
And
know-
I'd like to see a moratorium on stop signs as well.
We can always add to,
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't seem to be slowing down enough.
right.
I think we'll just.
I
go-
mean, people come out here because of the way Sagaponic is. Laid back
It
and.
Was, yeah.
People stay. 'cause
So
of
we
that.
have what we have in place and we see how they work for a year and then we go from there.
Well, we'll do these 6 and then
No, no.
let it sit.
No,
No.
we have what we have.
Well, we haven't had a whole summer season.
Yeah,
with
we
hedges
haven't
and
had
whatnot.
enough time to see how everything's come about.
I can tell you how my road is.
Barbara Bornstein seems to think that the stop signs are working
She
quite well.
doesn't live on my road.
Tommy D doesn't think they work.
No. I mean, I didn't approach him. He came to me. And I just stopped to say hi, and he says, my wife wants speed bumps, and my daughter wants speed bumps, and I want speed bumps. And then his wife pulled up with his daughter, and they both jumped on me, and I thought, well, I'm fine, because people go down there real fast.
Yeah,
How do you feel about that speed bump right by your house, Bill?
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, because they go by my house crazy.
Even with a stop sign down the road?
Yeah.
Well, or don't you know yet?
Well, I don't know, but.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
where they get all their speed is not approaching a stop sign.
It's after the
They've
stop.
done it after they turn onto Daniels from Gibson, and it's a continued acceleration. And now it's gonna decelerate with the stop sign, but I think they need to decelerate quicker so they can.
The
Maneuver
only
and stuff.
concern, I have a real concern about what I had heard around the school. I don't think people were complaining about the school being a safer place. I think they were complaining about the amount of trucks we have going through SAG and the noise of the crank
Right.
in the 3 of them in that area. And we have a bunch of houses here, but the straightaway where they really gain speed, we don't. And that to me, I know they speed on that section, but we haven't even tried the signs because we just put them up and one's not even visible. So to me, I would rather see something down there and try this for a little bit and do it down that way.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
It just seems to me that these stop signs
The one on Daniels. you mean?
that should work. I mean, I think the ones on Bridge Lane have been wonderful. The Bridge Lane ones really made a big difference. And this is kind of another place where people are coming in and out. I'd like to give it a chance to work. But down here, we don't have any roads feeding in, so it's the great gun
Right.
area.
Well, that's the same problem you have on your
Your
Yeah.
road has a big straight path
Right.
too.
street.
Yeah, there's westbound traffic at the end of the day when Montauk Highway slows down, they come through us. And there's actually a morning rush too. I don't know if they're going to landscape details or going back in there or what. A lot of pickup trucks go by fast early.
I have no problem when a road like Crestview has 10 of their 12 residents
Yeah.
asking for it. I feel if a road, you know, petitions to have one, that we should be a supportive municipality. That I totally understand. But I don't know. To me, it seems, I'd like to see how this works, and we need to make it visible, obviously, and then maybe do the real straightaway part.
At a later date.
And remember, we always, what do you call it? We pave fall and spring. So we're not, it's already March, right? We're talking about reapproaching paving over the summer for our fall pavings. The Crestview one is a no-brainer because I feel if all 10 out of 12 driveways want it, then that's
Yeah.
acceptable.
I
And
agree with that. What's the second picture of, or the third picture? The third picture.
is that Sag Road? I'm sorry,
So Sag Road.
Oh, yeah.
Which way are we looking? I can't even.
no, we want it further down.
Oh, we're looking east.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so that's narrow. There's the one right there. So,
I don't think we need that one north. And I don't know if we need the one south either. I say we wait and see how the stop signs are.
We've had the stop signs and we know how they work.
But we haven't had them for a year with summer traffic, and I just feel we're rushing into all of these new stop signs and speed bumps. I mean, I want safety, but I just feel it takes away from what Sagaponic is. We'll go slow with this. I agree with the Crestview, that's fine.
and narrow lane, we have heard from some of the residents.
Yeah, we got a letter from the Snows.
Where's Narrow Lane?
Narrow lane has one on that way.
That's Phillips.
We don't, that's.
No, on the map.
Yeah, that's.
No,
It's
wait,
not
that's the
there.
Crestford one. Yes, it is. I just have the wrong page.
We okay, one on Crestview?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, so if we talk about each one, we'll get to where we have to. Here's the narrow lane one. There's one down in what, the more woody
Are we
part.
looking north?
Yes.
Okay.
The more woody part,
Down by the train tracks?
is that down by the train tracks more?
The easternmost one is just next to my driveway. And
Oh,
and
okay.
I will listen to the trucks go over it. I'm not gonna like it, but it's gonna
And-
work.
And this one,
It's just before Tommy Dunkowski's
Kowski's,
driveway.
gotcha.
Yeah,
also narrow lane is like Hedges, it's like a major commute road.
oh, yeah.
I don't know, I don't have as much problem with the narrow lane.
I thought they were gonna be right next to the stop signs.
No,
No, these are back.
No,
By
those
the
are
train tracks.
middle of the block. People go like nuts out there.
Are we voting on this today?
No,
Huh? No?
No, oh, all right, well, so we're just giving our
If
opinion.
and when we vote, I would like to make them all separate votes.
When are you gonna vote on it? Just
Next week.
curious. Okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the engineering report yet, right?
He has a cost on them. But yes, I'll bring what the costs were, because we have the cost on six here, right?
Yeah, right.
The other thing is, did we ever explore, you said it once, but I don't know if you meant it, because we only own half the road, but on
Oh,
our
town
side
line.
of town line.
Yeah. Well, you know,
You
it
can't
should-
probably do a
it should
half
be
one
all
because
done
it makes
at
it
once.
go, yeah,
you
it
know,
would
it
go
should all
into
be
the other
done
lane.
once, and The
Do
people
what?
East,
At half a block. You'd have to have East Hampton.
oh, yeah. Well, that's, you can't go
They're
faster.
stopping
than
every
that.
30 feet on
Yeah.
that road
Yeah.
anyway,
No, it's-
so you don't need.
It's very frustrating, but it slows people down, so whatever.
Is there any way,
Well, do you
When
want to
the-
just back up for a second?
Oh,
Ms.
sure.
Sagamore? The one, the northern one is after you come over the bridge before the stop sign. The other one is just before Wolfer's driveway. And that one I think is important. If you go on, I think it's called Hildreth. If you try to get out of Hildreth Lane onto Sag Road, you can't, there's not a very good sight distance. And people are going very fast that. And,
do we have we must have a stop sign on Hillgrove. I just can't.
no,
Yes, there is a stop sign.
oh, coming out of Hildreth, but not on
Not
Sag
on
Road.
Sag Road.
Not outside,
Yeah.
not at the intersection. Hopefully never.
So having something before that will get people down to a reasonable speed before that intersection. Well, it's either that, or you can put a stop sign, but I think the speed bump is, at least you can go. I mean, the ones on Hedges, I've been setting my cruise to, this is with a pickup truck, to 30 miles an hour and go over it. And, you know, it's not bad.
Can we get rid of the one before your road going south?
Yeah, well, we'll discuss it next week when Marilyn's here. You know, we want to vote on each one separate. That sounds good to me.
That's a good compromise that we discuss it on
Yeah.
each one. And it's good to do it with a full board always.
Right. Yeah, well, I've had a
Didn't
chance to
think of
look
me
at
when
them.
you put
Marilyn.
stop signs on the plan, man.
What is this?
Gosh.
Trying to get some.
I think
Oh,
the
that's
dark green, the way
yeah,
it's
this is
printed, it's
Boone's
hard to read the
Field,
roads.
and your house is
I didn't
over
get
here
my
somewhere.
magnifying.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
looking right at
I
my
know,
house.
it's hard,
I
it's
was
hard
trying
to tell.
to see if I was better going like this, taking my glasses off and getting closer.
Okay, all right, now I know. Yeah. Oh, my wife will like that.
Oh, the one by your house?
Yeah.
She'll like it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't like to drive over,
I
but
was-
they work.
I was reluctant to have it going when you start down the hill. As long as you got a view of the stop sign. But this is where they really pick up speed, right on
Yeah,
by Lauren's house and my house.
right.
And this will slow them down a little bit.
Well, the stop sign should slow them down.
Yeah, but they drive right through it.
Yeah.
The other day, I mean,
Because they don't know it's
I
there
haven't
yet.
seen- I
It's been
haven't-
there a week.
well, yeah,
Gotta
I've
give
been
it
there,
time.
I've been there all week and I haven't seen a car stop for that stop sign yet.
Because the tree's in the
If
way.
the tree comes out. it's in. Whereas I will say, I've seen the ones on Bridge Lane, people stop for that.
They're so visible.
Yeah.
Almost everyone I agree is
Yeah.
stopping.
And a few times I've gone there and the cops are on the corner.
He has a nice hiding.
Great spot.
Yeah, a great spot to hide. Bridge Lane is working, the corner by the school is working. You know, we should let Fairfield work. The middle section from Fairfield to Potato, there's not another road for a long distance there.
Yeah.
That's a big accelerating area, and that seems to me to be very important. I think the stop signs are going to help on the corner of Fairfield, that place where I would always slow down there because I couldn't see with the
Right.
bushes. You couldn't see if somebody was
Right.
pulling out of Fairfield at top speed.
One question on, who does the lining, the stop sign lines?
The highway department,
Highway
they put the stop lines in.
Well, no, the new lines are fine, but the intersection going towards the ocean on Town Line Road,
There's a few of them.
as you approach Parsonage, I think, it is, that line's almost totally worn out already.
Well, they just put that in.
Yeah, that's
And then
only,
is it
that's
just
only
one-
been in since the fall, right?
Is there a lot of dirt there? Maybe they scuffed it up.
I
with a-
thought maybe it was dirt,
sand?
but I think it's just, I
Yeah.
don't know.
whizzing right through it.
Usually what they do is before the summer, they'll repaint the
Repaint,
lines
it,
and
so that
everything.
may, yeah.
But I'll tell.
Just have a look
Where's
at
it,
it.
Parsonage in town?
Parsonage and it's on the Town Line Road stop line going towards the ocean. What is that? South?
South.
Yeah,
South at Parsonage.
Okay.
The other one on Hedges is fine. So.
yeah.
But the one on Hedges going towards Town Line is so far back that you have to stop and
Yeah.
pull up, pull up, pull up,
Same one.
and make sure you can go.
Yeah,
Some of them are in odd spots,
Find
the
the line
lines.
to change it, but I'll send another email. I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Oh, assembly permit,
Yeah, and just go back up to the 2023 paving projects. They're out there surveying, and
Oh.
Jim told me that they are going to fine tune, after they get finished with that, the estimates,
right, okay,
that they're working on that.
yeah,
And he says it's on track, so we should be able to pave in beginning of April, I would imagine.
okay. Assembly permit?
Yeah,
we do?
so there's an assembly permit from Dew, having a fundraiser, their annual fundraiser, June 17th, a Saturday from 11 to 4, and then they have their garden market from 6 to 8, which is a cocktail reception. And we don't have to do anything about it because at the moment it's just a letter of intent.
All right,
The only thing is with the letter of intent, the neighbors are notified. I haven't gotten anything back from any of the neighbors. And if you have an issue with this date or anything, now's the time to speak about it. Okay, hold your peace. And then their next step would be to file the actual application. So you'll see that come in.
Okay, and then there's a special event permit application for the Massapequa Park Bike Club on Sunday, October 1st. They're going to start at Southampton High School, beginning at 6 a.m., entering our village via Bridge Lane, continuing to Town Line via Sagmain, Cemetery Lane, Gibson Lane, and Daniels, leaving the village via Hedges Lane to Sagmain to Sagaponic Road, with the longer route returning through the village via Wainscott Harbor. Okay, so there's two routes. One is shorter than the other.
I think they actually have three,
Three routes.
right? But I don't think one of them comes through the village.
And the number of people expected to attend the event is around 700. There's 90 people involved in the production of the event. And let's see. It's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's all day.
Are these the people that also twice painted on a road?
One of them was, I can't say for certain that it was these.
Do they
folks,
say,
But we always tell them.
no, I know you
they-
do,
the
but
Heart art, that little heart,
the Heart was Massapequa, I thought. They
No.
give to the Heart Fund, which group
Different
gives to
one.
the Heart Fund? Okay.
the heart people, they have their own. But we always tell them not to, and I think it took us a while, but I don't think Massapequa does it any longer. They took the
Signs up.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 years of a problem with them, and maybe they're the ones with signs. So the Heart people haven't come back yet.
No.
Because after, they did a lot of painting last year
Those
on the
people
road.
hard,
The hearts.
but yeah.
And nothing like the SAG school kids asking why their heart's on the way to school when they're riding their bikes. I didn't notice at first. You know?
So I'm not sure who the charities are. It says see attached, but I don't see an attached charity page.
I will have that for you next week, because
Okay.
it is in the
Okay.
file. I just don't have the file
There's
in
no
front of
valet company, there's no alcohol served. Security on site at the Southampton High School, it's the high school security. The refuse will be picked up at the end of the event. There will be portable bathrooms at the rest stops, which is Southampton High School, Bridgehampton Bank, and Amagansett Firehouse. No Southampton Town Police or Town Highway or Inspector necessary. Section 1. Any questions? Do we vote this week? Okay, and then the next one is the tent permit application for Foxyborough Golf Center to house their junior golf camp, which they do every year, I guess.
Been
Yep.
doing it for
Years and years.
6 years.
And it's a
probably.
30 by 30 tent.
And the reason why you're seeing this is because it's a longer time span. They want to do it through the whole summer, from Memorial Day, or what do they say, April 15th to November 15th.
Okay. And that's the tent permit, and that's it for me.
Okay, it seems like I've been hearing this for a long time. People, either the architect review board or somebody always brings up, should we ban gates through the whole thing?
Not April.
No, I think they were having a separate.
No,
No, I'm just correcting
She
me. I
said
think I
April-
said April 15th for the 10th, but it's May 15th
Yeah.
to September 15th.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
It seems like it's a reoccurring thing I keep hearing through, you know, the architectural historic review board about gates and, you know, whether we should ban the gates because they're so controversial. And I don't, you know, if a gate is right out by the street, which I think is banned, you have to be back a little bit. You know.
All
I
the
wouldn't
newly
recommend
approved
it.
ones are being encouraged to be even 60 feet in.
Oh, okay,
But remember, pre that, there was quite a few gates
right,
before that
right.
visually. The other thing I think at times, and I get frustrated, and you and I have discussed this, is when I'm, you know, doing an architectural meeting, and now mostly by Zoom because of the availability of me to listen to what's going on that way. Gates take up sometimes an hour and a half of their time.
Hmm.
And I feel that maybe there should be a banning, or maybe there should be, it shouldn't be available every month. Or maybe the zoning board should be handling it. I don't know. It's something about a different way of handling it, because it's taking a lot of their time over something that, as a general impression, the architecture board, I can truly say, doesn't like the look of it idea. Us as a board previously have said, you know, we don't want driveway gates and posts.
Hmm.
And I think John, I don't mean waste, but spends time with what we call the surprise ones all the time, and Brian too. The gates that go up down these flags that we don't know they go up, and then they're discovered later, and all the back treadling of that. And another problem about these flag lots is some of them flags that you go in deep, and there's 4 or 5 at the end, and the UPS trucks are larger, the landscape are larger. It's becoming a huge jam up. And then people park their vehicles on Daniels and Parsonage and the long straight roads because they can't get down there, because when they get down there, there's a gate. Or they download their trailers because they need to do their work.
Right.
And leave their trailers after they've taken the machinery off. And the people drive the cutting machinery down the flags, and there's a trailer sitting out on Daniel's Head, his parsing. I get one on Gibson once a week that's left there most of the day, so they can get to other places because they can't get in these tight gates.
Right.
So I'm kind of for the idea of looking at, and also listening to the architecture committee, which I started on originally 16 years ago. That's where I was on first. We could probably look at a way of making it easier for them to do their job And also, that's a horrible visual look around town to always have that gate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't have a real axe to grind, though. If somebody can figure out an improvement, I'll be happy, and if we can't, then let it keep going the way it is. I mean, if you ban them, then they'd have to go to the zoning board to get a gate. Which would slow it down and.
Or make 3 gate meetings a year, not always taking an hour and a half out of the architecture board. In the architecture board meeting, if they spend an hour and a half in the beginning on gates, right? They come to a historic building 3 hours later and they're exhausted. We're really trying to preserve other things and they're talking about gate design.
Leave the gates to the end.
That could help.
Brian, if this board banned the gates, would there be an opportunity for an applicant to go to the zoning board?
No, you can't, you can't, you could get a variance from parameters, a setbacks or some provision if you need another foot. But if the board said no and banned them, it would be an outright ban and the zoning board can't grant a variance from that.
Okay.
You just don't get it.
Yeah.
And everybody should think about this chapter 245, because I think Lisa's point is very well taken. Chapter 245 really does have a lot of detail about the design of gates. And we should forget that the Sag Harbor Historic District, they're banned, right? On Hedges, Parsonage, Gibson, Daniels, Bridges, all around down there are no gates. They're prohibited. So they're in other areas and they're a 20-foot setback, depending upon where your property line is, it could be 40 feet if you're a 40,000 square foot lot. So there are major setbacks already, but if they are taking up a lot of time with those kind of setbacks, maybe we're in banned territory and saying no more gates elsewhere in the village. Something to think about.
John, as the building department, and our architecture board also spends a lot of time designing gates to fit in our parameters. And God bless, Nick Martin and some of the others on the board that are pretty good on verbalizing, well, if you move this 2 feet and put a piece of wood there, and that's not what we want our architecture board to use their time. So I just would like to see some kind of, I don't like the gates, period, truthfully. But I think it's a horrible waste. And you've seen that when you've monitored the meetings too, of time. And when there's 6 or 8 gate applications, and it will happen, by the way, by April.
Why do they want gates?
They say they have security problems too.
High crime area.
I'm just saying, high crime with the police. Are we having house robbing regularly? Did I miss something? That's your big problem.
It's not security, it's just my piece of the rock. I want to protect it. And nobody should be allowed to see my property.
Right.
The nicest thing, not to get off track, but the nicest thing at the corner of, I think it's Hildreth, right by the golf course. There was a house on the corner,
Oh, yeah.
they took the trees out, the hedges out, they put the driveway, it's so nice because it's a beautiful house. You
Right.
drive by and say,
See
it's a-
Meriwether Smith house.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They took all this, and you can actually see the house
You
now.
can see the house, it's a lovely house, and it's so nice that they
Right.
want to fence themselves in. Like everyone else.
Your brother's house, that house you grew up in, that's a landmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful to see the
Yeah.
house. Those of us that aren't hiding ourselves, our houses, it's amazing to me. Marilyn can attest to this because she sent me one last spring. Every so often on social media, and I don't necessarily find these things myself, but someone photographed my house and discussed it as if it was part of what theirs or whoever's. And it's humorous but the reason why they photographed these houses is they were good architectural things to look at.
Yeah.
Imagine not seeing Don Lonkheim's old house, or imagine not seeing.
Let's get rid of hedges too.
Yeah, well.
I've been wanting to do that for years.
I think we should have a banning meeting.
Someone could make a motion to ban us.
Well, it's not impossible that could happen, but, I don't know, if maybe, Brian, legally, you can give us some suggestions on how we approach making driveway gates not a third to half of the job of the poor architectural board.
Yeah, ban them.
Yeah, I think Carrie's right. I mean, I think we're in that territory of banning, because if you read that chapter, previous boards spent a lot of time giving a lot of design detail on height and design and slope of the gate to the posts and how the posts can be and where they're set back from. And that's what the AHRB debates all the time. So
They fight with the HRB because they really want that metal wall. At the
Yep.
end of Crestview, the building permit that was one of the permits that Southampton Town had forever. When they close their gate and it's automatic, it is a silver metal wall. And as the sun goes down at night, if you're out for a walk or you're riding your bike, you actually can't look at it.
Yeah, you're blinded.
You're totally blinded. It's so unsagaponic gates. I'd love to ban them.
Good, I'm with you.
So maybe as a compromise, the board thinks about banning gates, but maybe allowing within certain parameters, gate posts, to delineate the driveways to posts, maybe. I mean, it's just,
No, we don't
Thank
need
you.
that.
okay.
We've had
That's
trouble
an
with
idea,
someone who chose to put in a huge stone post, remember on Sag Main? And next that you're gonna have the lion on top of them. We might
Yeah.
not want to do that.
Right.
Used to be one of those on Ocean Road.
Yeah.
Long driveway.
Should we have him draw up something?
Yeah.
And then we'll look at it, and at some point, if it looks good, we'll have a public hearing.
I would like to include the looking at it with the architecture board. Maybe they could come and look at it, or at least be sent copies.
Well, if you're gonna ban it, you're gonna ban it.
No, but I'd like
There's
them to
not-
see, is it, maybe they're gonna see something because they live the pain and we're not living the pain every day.
I think what,
We
I
can
think what I
send,
hear
we
the
can send him a
board, yeah,
letter.
we can certainly
If you're
send it
gonna
to
have a
them.
public hearing, they would,
But if the board is looking to ban the gates,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get gates. There's
Yeah.
nothing to look at here.
But I think Lisa just wants their opinion on the draft legislation on the ban. So I think we could do that. When it's drafted, Rhodey, I can give it to you.
They hate them.
They
They
hate
don't
'em.
want them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll absolutely give it to them, but. as
Well,
long
I
as
just
you
want
ban
to
them,
include them
Well,
because
it's-
they're living the pain.
Yep.
We're
they're
visually
very-
seeing the pain.
I would be surprised if
Champagne
they're not
will
very
flow.
happy.
So, I think it's important to include them, that's all.
Okay, so you're gonna draw up something, and we're gonna send a copy so the architecture review board can look at it. And hopefully they'll say, oh, that's just what we always wanted.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised
Yes.
if they don't, but.
Yeah. We could ban houses too.
ban one.
So let's not talk about it because how long is that gonna take,
What?
What?
banning the gates?
Well, if you want it, Brian does the legislation.
If we discuss it and it gets
We
out,
can-
all of the city people are gonna get gates.
Yeah,
You
In
can
the
have
middle
it-
time
you
period.
can have it done by May.
Oh, yeah.
A public hearing in April, actually. You can have it
You
done.
could, you could have it done in a month.
Are there any gate,
Let's aim for April.
yeah, are
Okay.
there any gate things in the ARB now?
Yes,
And there's more.
well,
and there's more coming. It speeds up in the spring. Hold on. It, last month there were two, and they both were adjourned because a lot of times they bring,
Those are the two that have been hanging out there, aren't they?
yeah, they've been hanging. But they don't have-
If we ban them and those two are already put in previously to the.
They have to be listened to, but
No,
they,
no,
No?
not necessarily. If they're not vested, then they don't get it. Just because
Right.
they're before the Architectural Sort Review Board, they're not vested. If the legislation says that you're going to grandfather any that have an application in, then that's how you write the local law.
Okay.
But
So can we aim for April? I know you're
Sure.
on vacation, but.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'll be back next week, actually, so I'll have it in hand.
he's in his office, that's what it is. I saw
Well-
people behind you, Brian.
Yeah, this is North Carolina. I'm just tucked in right here. My wife is out having fun.
You mean you're not having fun?
Yeah.
Right moment.
Right.
So do you think you can get that to me by next week, Brian? or-
Absolutely. Yep.
Good.
All right.
There's been a lot of news over the last few years about bees, pollinators, birds, habitat, and all that stuff. And I was thinking that it's not something we're going to dictate, but we should probably get on our website something that promotes that type of thinking instead of putting up a line of privet or a line of arborvitae or something like that, which do nothing for anything in terms of habitat. And maybe people can do something a little bit more inventive and a little more natural as part of the yard. If we promote it, we do like a promotion. We can get a bunch of designers to weigh in on it and give us lists and ideas. And maybe that way we can get publicity. And the designers who come here will maybe be a little bit more apt to suggest to the homeowner, not just put in a bunch of hydrangeas. A lot of the hydrangeas now are sterile, which means they have no pollen and they do nothing for bees, butterflies, or anything else. They're very decorative, but
Maybe the tree committee could be,
what?
maybe the committee can be in on.
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. I mean, anybody can weigh in, develop a list. I mean, I know tons of designers and I'm sure they'd love to have their name on something. Develop a list and a blurb to go with it.
Mhm.
Take a shot at it.
Did you
Great
want
idea.
to set up a work session, Bill, and invite them?
Yeah, I mean,
How did you want
at
to
some
get this
point,
out?
let me see what happens. I'll get a hold of some of these people and have them send in stuff and pick their brain a little bit, say, would you like to get a little publicity, come before us and present your ideas? And a lot of them would. I mean, Tony Piazza did that stuff on Town Pond in East Hampton. And they just had a piece in the New Southampton Press about what Barefoot Gardener. And I mean, these people want publicity because they get jobs out of it. So, I mean, if it generates some press for them, but let's start on a list first and see who's interested and lively and has a kind of salesmanship spark to come and show up.
Great idea, thinking ahead. What happened to our garden that somebody was gonna put here?
We're working on it.
Oh, you
I'm
are?
gonna go up front. I got Abby working on it.
Okay,
So she's gonna
You
be
didn't see the shovel out there?
JR is gonna be digging it up probably in April.
oh,
Just clear it. I gotta see if the sprinkler heads are in there, so I have to
so
coordinate
they're
that.
still interested in doing something.
Well, we're gonna do it. We'll invite the school kids to come, but I got Abby's in charge of it. She's the plan person.
Good.
That's great.
Stay tuned, Bill.
Got a letter from Suffolk County Water Authority about water conservation. I know a lot of our houses have wells. We don't have public water. So what they have to do with it, anybody thinks they give a whole local law they'd like us to adopt about water conservation. I know a lot of irrigation systems run stupid. They run day and night and they run when it's
Oh, yeah.
freezing out. And,
In December, they're running.
Let's ban water too.
I was reading in the Southampton Press, I don't know, it was an old newspaper and I don't know what the month was. A while back, and it listed all the homes that
I
use
saw that.
X amount of thousands of gallons.
right.
Yeah,
And
Millions, right? Somebody had millions.
it was millions.
Yeah.
It was last summer.
Too many,
Yeah.
way too many. So, yeah, conservation. is
I
important.
think this is a smart idea. There's a couple places in December, when you're going somewhere,
Oh, yeah.
early in the morning and there's no puddles anywhere else.
However,
And
however, they may be running off of the well. This is from Suffolk County Water Authority.
Oh, okay.
So that's, everybody dips into that pool there, but if you've got your own well, well, I mean, we all get it from the same
Well,
underground
yeah,
water.
it's the same place.
But this is coming from Suffolk County Water Authority. The other thing is, if you do that, who's gonna monitor it?
Right.
Well, I could do it.
All right, you're in charge.
That's the Joy Seger rule of thumb on laws,
I think
right?
they said the police.
The water police.
There was something in there about the
Yeah,
police.
They have
a
rat
draft
police now.
in the city.
Yeah.
Let's get some water police.
They have a draft resolution there. Brian, did you want to?
I was just saying, this is really, while we're a little part of it, we have so many wells in our village, it's really not applicable to us. This is the big town of Brookhaven, town of Islip, big properties that are using these things all the time. I think we should just take a wait and see approach to see what other villages and towns do, because otherwise that resolution wants to make it a crime to water your property every other day. And I don't really know if we want to do that.
I must be misled then, because they said it's this aquifer system that they're worried about, and
Yep.
that's the well system.
Like I said, we all draw from the same pot of water underneath the ground.
Yeah, so it's all applicable.
But when you're dealing with Suffolk County Water Authority, they have their pressure, the water's pressured in the lines, and when you've got too much water being turned on, it affects the distribution of the water from that. And it's not
Yeah, I
gonna
understand
affect the
that.
distribution for those people who have wells, because
No, but
They're
I
just
think
coming
they're
out of the well.
doing the global thing of the aquifer system underneath Long Island. They're worried about. Okay, so we wait.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting, a little blurb on the website saying,
Right,
be aware, don't be a pig,
right.
take conservation, whatever. That needs to be done. You can have a nice green lawn without watering it until it's
Oh, yeah.
drowning. Yeah.
So we have quite a few items that the village could give little snippets of advice to,
Yes, we do.
like the orange vest to wear when we're
Right.
riding the bike and when we're doing the water for your irrigation and.
Yeah.
I can put a little page on there.
Yeah, we need a page on the
Little
website.
Zach Punnett snippets.
Well, it's like
By
Southampton,
Harry Crowley.
Southampton Village, or maybe it's a town. As you enter the town, it talks about the beautification of their village and this, that, and the next thing. So I don't know if they have ideas on how to save water and wearing the vests when you walk, but.
I got a couple of my neighbors to color up.
Good, I've seen quite a
I've
few
seen 'em,
people,
yeah.
husband and wife teams riding bikes, but they bought jackets that match each other. It's
Yeah.
not the best, and they're very colorful.
Yeah,
Well, you can buy jackets that have that, reflective
Yeah,
strips
strips
and
and
stuff.
yeah.
I don't
And
know.
you can put them on the pedals of your bike.
No, I think people are getting more aware, and that's a positive thing.
What's next? Gibson signs? Dogs?
Gibson
regulations?
Beach.
Oh, Gibson Beach.
Yeah,
Well, what about Gibson Beach? What are we talking about? Oh, is that the dog thing?
This is the dog.
yeah.
Oh, the poor dogs.
It's usually goes.
So, last time we talked about dogs, someone mentioned that there's no more dog park at Havens Beach.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
there is a dog park still at Havens Beach.
Oh, away off the beach.
Yeah, it's just that you can't
Yeah.
have dogs on Havens
the beach,
Beach, but
right.
the dog park is still there.
Well, I
Yeah.
did actually send an email to the clerk in Sag Harbor to verify whether or not that was still an official place. that
Well,
people
I
could
see
bring their
dogs and
dogs.
people
So
there.
I'm not sure
Like
whether
last week.
it's actually still a
Oh, park.
sanctioned dog beach or dog park, but people do use it and they use it all the time.
Yeah, but they can't use the beach.
But they're not supposed to
Yeah.
have the dog on the
I
beach.
thought one time there was a sign there, it said it was a dog park,
Yeah,
off the beach, yeah.
There's a few
But it never
signs there. I
changed.
should have taken pictures of them,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I can't remember what I said now.
During the beginning of the pandemic, when we had a quick outburst of dog problems at Gibson Beach, with complaints and stuff, and then we did a public hearing, didn't we?
Right. Yeah, I've got notes on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and initially, many of the people who came up on Zoom, because of the time period in history where we were and such, weren't even residents in our town, our
Oh, yeah.
village.
right.
And we do have, and I'm not picking on Sag Harbor or Bridgehampton, but we have people coming into Sag and during what I call the early morning commuter hour to Gibson Beach and the 5 o'clock commuter hour to do the last walk of the day.
Well,
And you see
because
that.
it's banned in the other places during
Places,
those
right.
hours.
So that is how Gibson Beach became known. Now, Dawn had said a funny thing, and it occurred to me when I was looking at your sign pictures,
Yeah,
that sometimes people just need to know where to go. And he pointed out that he made a joke at the time, but I don't know if it's a good or bad idea, but you know, they can go to Peters Pond, they just don't know that. So initially, we could always pass the buck that way.
well, it's a trail
Let's just
system.
ban the dogs.
Eat the dogs.
No, I don't want to eat them.
I think we have to do
Well, I
something
think that's a
about
good point,
patrolling
though.
it.
If you do restrict it there, tell them to go.
Tell them where to
Right.
go.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
And not in a rude sense, tell them
Yeah.
where to go. I mean,
Yeah.
tell them the location of where they should go to walk their dog.
Well, I know this cute old couple that live up here on off Sag Road, they're French, I think, and they bring their dog and they get out of the car and they walk the dog down the beach, and it's the love of the best part of the day for them.
For the dog or for the,
Going to Gibson with their dog, for everyone included, the dog and the people.
But I think our problem is they probably are using their leash. We are having dog fights down there
I
and
got bit in the butt by a dog down
Yeah.
on one of those beaches.
I was knocked over.
Tiny little thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just pointing out, and weren't you coming out of the water and one was growling
Oh, okay.
down?
I've been there enough. I've had tons of incidents.
Yeah, I just think we've let it go long enough that we have to come up with signage and, or banning the dogs on the beach. And telling them where they are able to do it.
Right.
Dog police.
And maybe we need to use our portion or whatever it is when Rhodey calls the dog warden person in the summer to come. And
Usually it's the police if they need
Yeah.
them. When we had the real problem when they were fighting, they did bring the dog warden was down there
Yeah.
every morning.
I mean, you're not getting reports that people are being bitten at other beaches. And I mean,
Well, I don't get her.
Because the dogs aren't allowed at the
The
other
other
beaches.
Yeah, right.
but for years, people train their dogs and we have now lost that in the sauce. And it's just like crazy at moments when you're down there. You can't get down on the beach.
Right.
And, or they're having, the dogs, I mean, are having this like fighting argument and the owners are like, oh, he'll be okay. And they're jumping on each other and you're like, oh, I'll just walk down the road the other way. You literally can't walk down onto the beach because they're all at the top. No leashes, and the leashes come off soon as they open their trunk.
Well, this is too much info right there. Nobody's gonna read that.
Well, there's a simple one they have.
This
the
one's
town
good.
side.
It's got Spanish and everything, right there.
This
Oh.
makes
That's
us,
the one.
that's the one that is easy. No, I think she's totally right.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
no pictures, people look
But I
at the
don't think
picture.
we should ban the dogs.
I think we're gonna match the town, what they do at Sag Main, because then it's easy to enforce.
I agree with
It's
you.
the same thing,
What do they
and,
do at
you know, just go on down to Peters Pond or
It's a
something
time
else.
frame or something. What do they do? Is it
Uh,
listed here?
They banned the dogs in the summer.
April 1st, yeah, April 1st to October 1st.
October.
Well, you could do the picture one and just put that
Oh,
as a little bit
Yeah.
below it.
right,
The picture one catches, and then below it, and have the date, April to whatever
right,
you just said.
yeah.
Who
No,
owns Potato Road Beach?
The,
Peters Pond.
Peters Pond, I mean.
the trustees,
Southampton
Yeah.
trustees.
Southampton Town Trustees, not the normal town board. Is that the best way of explaining it?
yep.
So that's one of the reasons
The
why it never
trustees
gets
let the town
paved or,
Regulate the parking, but they let them regulate the parking, yeah.
and it hasn't been paved in probably,
They've
I like
graded it a couple times, it's
Yeah.
not as bad as it
graded
is.
they grade it, they don't pave.
Whoever grades
Once a
it, I
year
don't
they
know.
grade it.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. But it doesn't take a long time.
So this
Right.
is 7 months the dogs can't go on the beach. This is a ban.
6 months,
April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
not
You're right.
October.
Yeah, 7, not October. 6, I mean.
And then you could have a small little sign below it saying, you may go to.
Right. Yeah, no, that's, because then they have a place to go, there's no argument.
And I think Carrie's right that people don't, it sounds horrible, read anymore.
Well, I mean, you and I would read it, but.
Yeah.
The guy with the dog won't.
I like the picture and the info
Yeah,
for the dates, and then I like below it telling them where they should go to water their dog.
I like this
sounds like
picture
a plan.
better.
Which one do you like? This one here?
Yeah.
So
like
do you
this one.
plan to change the restrictions for the dogs on the beach?
To match Southampton Town.
And
So that's a local law.
Local.
what are they now? Well, what are the restrictions now?
Ours,
Yeah,
you're not allowed on the beach with your dog from May
9 to
15th
5?
to September 15th, from 9 in the morning to 5 o'clock. Other than that, and the dog has to be leashed. Those are our rules right now.
And our big problem
So,
is,
problem.
well, neither of those things get,
So-
the leashing is a problem and the time is right now too.
So from
The
September
time?
15th.
Yeah, because nobody's paying attention. If you want to go down to the beach on Sunday at Gibson Beach, you will see at least 10 loose dogs.
Because
Midday.
nobody's enforcing.
No one's enforcing.
Because when you're at the beaches that have lifeguards, they enforce it. So that's the problem with it.
They,
What-
they still show up down at Sag Main,
They,
yeah.
but it's more of.
It's less,
We've
it's
got
not
a
many.
more of a policing presence
Yeah.
there.
All right, and the lifeguard will go over to them and say, I'm sorry, you'll have to.
Or they will call the police and have the police come down. But at Gibson, there's nobody there. So unless a citizen calls, the
Right.
cops are not gonna come down. I mean, they may stop down, but. if they
yeah,
get a
I don't know. I
complaint,
feel
they
like
will
we
go
should
down.
maybe keep it available to walk a dog on Gibson at some point. But just
During
put
the season.
better signs, yeah, for that season, for the season.
It's not the signage.
No.
We've done it. It's the enforcement. That's what it is.
Well, the people on Crestview, because they function as a group, and sometimes they corner me if I'm just walking past the street. And I'm glad they work as a group. And it's
Yeah.
nice that the road works as a group. And last summer at the end, they were talking to me, and because I don't have to park a car ever on Crestview, how would I know this? But we have a lot of non-stickered people parking down Crestview. And when you guys meet with the police people in April again, they as a group, Crestview, complained about that as well as the dogs to me. That on weekends, people get a little bit in, so they're not totally visible.
So they need to patrol that area.
They need to
What do you mean
patrol
a little bit in what?
Crestview, and they park down Crestview and walk
They don't
to
call
the.
me, I don't know.
Huh?
If they don't call me, I don't know.
Yeah.
They call me, I'll send a cop right down there. I'll just call their car and tell them to go down.
Well,
Of
we
course,
need-
on
So we
weekends,
need
I'm
a
not
sign
gonna
at
do
the
it on
beach
weekends.
saying, if a dog is at the beach, call Rhodey and she'll call the cops.
Or call the cops, call 911.
Yeah.
So that's the only way, that's the only way you can enforce it.
I'm gonna go to Maine.
Or allow, I mean, if you put the ban in, that's fine, but you know people are still gonna bring the dogs out. So it's about the enforcement of it.
Yeah,
Because if there's no enforcement, people are just gonna do it.
When do you think most of the problem is, a morning or an afternoon thing?
I'd say both probably, but afternoon more, and I also think weekends is more of a problem. Weekends, there's that push to get everything done, with your time off. So they're at the beach part of the time and they're just think years ago, if you got on the train or you took the bus to New York City, you never saw a dog on the bus or the train. Now we see them all the time.
Well, maybe we can compromise and have a morning walking time frame, but not the afternoon.
I still think we have to
We go
figure
slow.
out how to enforce it and how to get the morning enforced if we did something like that. How are we gonna get it enforced? The same thing with the beach stickers, the non-stickered people using Crestview as a parking lot, down further.
I'll just call the cops.
Yeah.
They'll just go down and start ticketing them. And because there is no parking there, that's a seasonal, until 6 o'clock. There's no parking. So if they're parking down there, they should get ticketed. Unless they have my pink placard on there, and I believe that allows them to park there, but they should definitely get ticketed.
So do you want to go back to this again next week when we don't have as much
Sure.
on the docket as
Yep.
we did today?
Yep.
State housing legislation is next. Sorry, can't even pronounce
Oh,
it.
okay, just to give you a heads up that this, it's a power grab by the state government basically to ram certain projects over local zoning. And I mean, I looked at it just a little bit and they said that they didn't have to do secret. And it's like, you're gonna put a housing development in without environmental review?
Today's
And,
world.
I mean, I just looked at it as, dirty politics. This is a payoff to somebody.
It's not in it.
It's Brian, do you want to give the legal end of this side of this, the state housing legislation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a proposal by the governor in the budget process, which is always bad. It doesn't go through committee. It doesn't go through the houses. It gets approved in the budget process, which everybody in Albany knows is the big ugly. It's really not really well thought out for Long Island. I agree with the mayor. It's requiring villages, including ours, to increase its housing stock by 3% every year. If we turn them down,
It's 1% per year for 3 years. A total.
no, that's upstate. That's upstate. The downstate region, Nassau and Suffolk County is 3% for 3 years.
For 3 years,
Yeah,
over a course of 3 years.
yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, no, not
But
9%.
if we, no, not 9%. No.
Right.
Yeah,
What if you don't have the available lot and lands for
Doesn't
this to
matter.
happen?
it's not even gonna matter. I mean, the proposal that the governor's office rolled out was critical of any property that had single-family residences on it. And by those residences are restricted by lot size, height, parking, single-family requirements. That's what we live by in our zoning code in the village of Sagaponic. And every village in Suffolk County lives by those same restrictions to keep their feel. If an applicant, a developer applies for that, we get turned down by our zoning board. It's amorphous right now, but in it is a proposal that you could apply to a state board to overrule the local zoning board. It's a crazy, I mean, I don't want to editorialize too much, but it's a little amorphous, but it's a frightening proposal for local power.
Years ago, when they upzoned out here, they did it because they said, we've only got so much water in the ground, so we can only have so many people. And this totally
Like traffic.
just disregards it.
Yes. So maybe the mayors of Suffolk County should get
There's already been a
together.
letter out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been many, the towns, the villages, the associations of each of those have sent umpteen letters up to the governors. So the legislatures also have the ability, I know Fred Thiel is not in favor of
oh,
it.
yeah.
Well, there must be exceptions or a loophole or something.
It's a matter of the budget, which is like Brian
Yeah.
said, that's.
And you know, it's a one size fits all proposal, but one thing that it doesn't bring any money for us to solve two of the major problems for density. Sewers, right, septic capacity, and traffic. If you were to drop a multifamily residence somewhere in the village of Sagaponic, what street is it gonna go on? And on all 2-lane roads. It's really, it's not well thought out. It might have a great value in Queens, Manhattan in the conversion of office buildings. It really doesn't have any valuable application, and it would be harmful in Suffolk County.
And then they're also proposing, or not proposing, but it would require all of the train stations to increase, and I don't know what the numbers are there, but that would be like East Hampton train station, Bridgehampton train station, Southampton train station. Within that, what is it, a mile radius, Brian?
Yeah, half a mile would have to be rezoned for multifamily high density.
So did the letter go out saying it would be harmful to these municipalities and that,
Yes.
Yeah.
But individuals.
we
you
need
can
the
write a
wording
letter.
changed for rural areas?
Yeah, it really should just be restricted to where it's really trying to target, which is either Nassau, Queens, or Manhattan, but it really doesn't apply in Suffolk. We don't have the infrastructure for it.
Well, go shake that woman up.
She
man.
just appeared in Patchogue, I believe,
Yep.
did she? And
Was she
there
attacked?
was I sent that to you, didn't I? Ed Romaine, who
Oh,
is
yeah.
running for county
yeah.
executive, but he had some very good points that she
Yep.
is not, she doesn't appear to be willing to sit down and work with the towns and the villages, the municipalities on Long Island, who are well aware that housing is a problem. They're not saying housing is not an issue here, but to have something just thrown and shoved down your throat instead of working with the local municipalities to come up with a resolution, she just doesn't want to hear it, I don't think. She
Yep.
doesn't seem to be open to it. So,
Surprises me.
So stay closely tuned. I think the mayor just added it to the agenda for awareness. We should really be paying close attention to it because it can have some, unintentional consequences to us.
Can we send the letter again?
Well,
I don't know what the status of the SCOBA letter is. Rhoda, you might want to find out from Paul Tona what the status of the SCOBA objection letter.
I believe that there could even be 2 letters that went up,
Yeah.
but certainly 1 letter went up, and that went up a couple of months ago, I think.
Let's send another one.
Yeah.
We can also maybe, I know you have certain, I'm just brainstorming, I don't mean to give extra work to the office, but when we send things out to our residents at tax time, maybe we can add that information so they
It's
can,
gonna be, because this is budget.
budgets before then,
Budgets,
you're right,
and the
sorry.
state has got to be adopted by April 1st.
Yep.
But, I just had something, the East End supervisors and mayors, I believe also sent a letter out too.
Yep.
So.
Good.
But like Brian said, I guess it's her, she's the one that's gotta pull it out or not.
Yep.
And if she just continues to say, but then they have to pass the budget, so they could
Right.
not pass the budget because that's in it, so that's, like Fred Thiel and the legislature.
That's right, they're not gonna
Right.
allow the budget to be passed if it's in there, so that might,
Anywho, stay tuned.
We've got a bunch of financial stuff, if people want to look at that. I don't know if there's any discussion, we can talk about it next week, since it's getting late, board committee reports, anybody,
I'm fine with next week.
yeah, any crash you want to talk about, or something on fire?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I'll do
Do
it
you
next
give
week.
these back to the same people?
and,
So my
anybody
name's
from
in
the
here?
public want to speak?
Where's my
Is there anybody?
Is that okay? I don't know my name's.
Okay. let's see,
Well, what do you know, Joe?
we need, there was something for an executive session, Rudy? Is there still
Yes.
something? Okay.
Yes, did you talk to Brian about it?
I couldn't remember what the topic was.
Hang on there,
Well,
Brian.
wait, we
Yes,
need to adjourn
yes.
first.
So you need to adjourn into executive
Okay, I'll
session.
make a motion to adjourn to the executive session
Seconded.
for legal.
To discuss possible litigation.
Okay, discuss litigation with counsel.
Possible. We need to vote though.
Neither one of you is getting litigated.
Yeah, did I hear a second on that?
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.